me just share my screen here with you. Yes, there we go. Good morning. My name is Annemie, and I'll be your facilitator during this information session regarding CMA. So I presume most of you are currently busy with your NQF4 qualification, or maybe already qualified estate agents and with your qualification, and you would like to know how to properly execute a CMA, and that is presumably because there might not be that clear guidance from your place of work, and it's usually the state that whenever you join, for example, a big franchise group, they have their own way of doing a CMA and they give you clear guidance. But sometimes in smaller offices, there is still a need for people to design their own format. But this session is just so much more than just the CMA. It tells you what the CMA will help you to obtain at the end of the day, and it is so much more than just obtaining a market-related price for a property. Right, okay, please mute your audio for the session. I will give you some indications or some time to ask questions at the end of the session. We will be busy for about an hour and 15 minutes if I look at our schedule today. Right, so as with all webinars, we usually rely on stable internet connection, and should you lose my picture or should I lose connectivity, please hang on for a second or two to allow me to reconnect again. And should you be kicked out of the session, just enter again and I'll see you in the waiting room and allow you in again. But I see the session is being recorded. Okay. The notes, as you see them on screen, not the PowerPoints, the notes will be emailed to you after the session by model with an attendance register that you can use for CPD points. Okay. What I intend to talk to you today, or to talk about your bag of tools that you've got available as a property professional, and where a CMA fits into this bag of tools, the purpose and definition of a CMA, and then we are going to discuss the client, keeping the client in mind, and to try and summarize the way that a client may react to you, and also to give you a little bit of information how you should react to clients. If you can summarize them, you know how to talk to them. Then the process of doing a CMA, and then the whole fact that you need to educate clients as you go along with regards to what they can expect and what your duties are and what they are busy doing in this process of obtaining a price for their property, whatever their reason may be. And only then, after you have connected with the client, then we move to the property, and then the basics of a CMI, how to compile a proper CMI, the basic structure thereof, and then how to package and present a CMA, and then how to stand out from the crowd, how to make your presentation a little bit different so that your clients can realize that they are working with a property professional that goes the extra mile. So, talking about the CMA as a tool in your bag of tools. So, due to some other reason, a client has expressed a need and contacted you. There is a connection, initial connection between yourself and the client. And now you made an appointment and you're going to see them. So, this is what we call a lead. A client has contacted you and has expressed a need. So a lead is the main purpose of all marketing activities, whether it is branding, whether it is your website, whether it is a brochure or whatever. To create a single lead is the main purpose of all marketing activities. Now, once you have the lead, to convert that lead into an income for yourself is in your hands. You must now work with this lead and convert it into a business opportunity. Start building a business opportunity and a business connection between yourself and the client. Otherwise, you are throwing money into the water. You must realize very seriously that real estate is not about property, but about people. A person has contacted you, a person with a need. You need to be able to summarize that person, summarize their needs, and supply them with whatever they are looking for, and just to think you will get paid during the process or at the end of the process as well. So remember, it is about the person, not the property. It is about the person, giving the person in front of you the service that they are looking for. So classically speaking, generically speaking, the purpose and definition of a CMA is an examination of the prices of which similar properties in the same area have recently sold for and are currently on sale for, versus your subject property. Your subject property is the way that we describe the property that you are now going to view and the owners you are now going to meet. So estate agents perform a comparative market analysis for sellers to determine a market-related price with regards to the current market. What can they put their property up for sale when they enter into the sales market? That is generically speaking, but the purpose of a CMA is so much more. It is your first meeting with a client and the building of rapport with the client. It is a purpose to educate the client in terms of what to expect and to expose them to your knowledge and your skills that you have as an estate agent. It is the way of converting one lead into a business arrangement. Out of this should flow a sole mandate, a marketing process, and the sale of a property. If you don't do this first meeting right and do it, promise something that you can't deliver on, then you are creating unreasonable expectations and you will be setting up yourself for failure, where afterwards you need to make excuses and say, oh, I'm sorry, this didn't happen or that didn't happen. You are not going to try and impress a client with the highest possible price, right? You are trying to impress the client with your service and your skills and whomever you are, your personality, in order for them to see you as a property professional and to use you as a property professional. So keeping the client in mind, we are first going to start with how to summarize the client. Okay, the client has expressed a need and there is a certain reason why they may have asked for the valuation. But putting that as number 2 on the agenda, firstly, you need to understand who the client is. And I'm basically quickly going to discuss 4 personality types so that you can summarize them, so that you can talk to them in the way that their personality will like. So it is basically how to relate to people. So let's talk quickly about the reason for the valuation. It is seldom just an inquiry. People are not in the business of wasting time and wasting other people's time nowadays. There is a reason behind them asking for a valuation. So the main reason would be them maybe thinking about selling, or planning about moving, or maybe it could be they are thinking the property is too big or too small for them. They could consider downgrading or upgrading, and you need to determine their reason for asking this valuation and then ask about the property. But it is first about meeting the owners. It is never just a valuation for interest's sake. There's always something that they are considering, either in the near or maybe the medium-term future. So about the client, now you may be meeting one client or a couple. So people all differ. We are not the same. So you need to be able to understand the personality type of the two people that you may be meeting. It may be that one seems like the driver or the person who talks the most, but that may not be the person who will be the decision maker. So talking about making decisions, there are two kinds of people that can make decisions very fast, and they will make up their minds about you instantly, especially if you are late for a appointment, okay, or unprepared, or don't know what you're talking about. They will make up their mind very fast that they don't want to work with you. So the fast decision makers are the expressive people and the drivers. They are towards the left-hand side of your screen. So the expressive people are those extroverted guys. They are impulsive, they're talkative, they're future-orientated, they can't wait to move on. This must be done as soon as possible, and they express, and they are usually easy to talk to because they do express themselves, and it's not like you're trying to pull teeth when you want information out of them. Then there are the drivers. Now, those are the guys that have got more left brain orientated goals in mind. They are in a hurry, and this must be a business, and you must be as fast as possible. They are impatient, and they're very practical. So they will frequently say, so what's the next step? So what do you say? They will challenge you a little bit more than the expressive guys. Then the slow decision makers towards the right side of your screen are the emotional guys and the analytical guys. They are the emotional guys are people pleasers. They want to make you some coffee. They want to know about you. They are family orientated. They are trusting. If they like you, they will eventually do business with you, but it's not of prime importance to get this done immediately. Then the analytical guys are the quiet guys. They're organized, they're careful, and very disciplined. And you need to react to them in such a way that you show your professionalism and statistics, and so that you can leave them with something that they can think about, and they don't like to be pressured into taking a decision. So there may be two people in front of you, maybe a couple, a husband and a wife, or two husbands or two wives, or whatever the situation may be. So you need to summarize them in order to know how to talk to them, so that they can understand you, and so that you don't give offense, and so that there's not an underlying resistance being built up against you as a property professional. So the idea is for you to talk to them in the way that they can calm down, and that you can give your information over to them in a way that they will accept it easier. So how to relate to the expressive guys. Now that is again on the previous screen, the top left-hand corner, the expressive guys. They are very energetic, and you can get creative in your presentation and in your discussions with them. They would appreciate it if you are excited and while you are presenting your case, and they will feed off your energy. So if you see that somebody is energetic, you need to act energetically as well. And for them, they like to hear about future opportunities. They will find interest in what is lying ahead, and they usually don't have any problem in selling and moving on. Right, now how to relate to emotional people, that is the top right-hand corner. These people, you need to pay attention to them and hold eye contact with them and see them, ensure that they realize that you see them as an individual. They need to feel that they've been heard, even if you can't give them what they are asking for. They need to be recognized, and allow them also a chance to assert themselves, to express their own thoughts and feelings, and to make their own autonomous decisions. So since they are not fast decision makers, they don't like to be boxed in, and you could discuss here new possibilities that depending on their future plans, that a family, because they are very family orientated, that the family could enjoy in a new home, and whether they're looking forward, and ask a question and allow them a chance to answer. Any question that you ask, you don't ask in order to reply. You ask in order to understand. So whenever you ask a question, allow a person a chance to answer, and then maybe say something like, if I understand you correctly, and then reiterate what you have heard. Don't, while they are busy replying to your question, don't try and formulate an answer, a but and a whatever, and although, and your own response to that question. Try and understand, firstly, what that person is trying to say, especially with these emotional guys, before you give a reply. So with the drivers, that's also the fast decision makers. Your presentations, they are pressed for time. Your presentations should be short and sweet. You should get to the point, and don't be pushy with them. They are usually very strong leaders, and they take their ability to make decisions autonomously very seriously. So to the point and factual, they will really appreciate a attitude like that. Now, the analytical guys, they are again guys that are a little bit slower to take decisions. They prefer everything to be well organized, and they prefer to have all the facts in front of them and be allowed to make up their mind based on facts. All right. So your whole presentation in your relationship with them should be well organized, and you should leave them with statistics and evidence and a well-prepared report, since they will scrutinize that. You must have all the knowledge that is possible to back up your presentation, because they will ask you serious factual questions, and they expect you to get to the point and to be factual as well. Now, the process of doing a CMA. In your meeting with the clients, you should ensure that all decision makers are present. If it is a couple, then both should be present. Never make an appointment that when the wife says, no, I'll tell my husband all about it. No, both decision makers must be present, because this is not a hit and run. This is not a once-off meeting. You want to build on a business relationship with the two. So it's usually two people, a couple who are selling a property. So ensure that the time suits both of them, even if it could be an appointment during the evening that suits both of them. Because your first meeting is your first interaction with them. And right from the beginning, there is quite a few things that are happening simultaneously. So you need firstly to prepare yourself mentally and go in and create a professional business relationship with them that's going to last quite a while. Introduce yourself, give a business card, show your Fidelity Fund certificate, explain what an FFC is. That is your legal right to trade, and that is current and valid, and because it might be that some other agents have been there already that didn't do this. So show them that you are properly registered. Then request people, the couple, to sit down before you go through the property, because real estate is about people and not about property. So I always say the most important piece of furniture here at this stage is a dining room table, right, with no distractions like a TV blaring or whatever. So sit opposite of them and then discuss. and start taking notes. And during this process, you summarize their personalities and start talking to them in the way that you can connect to them. So discuss the current market conditions in the area, discuss their reason for selling, and discuss the whole process of going through this exercise. And I usually talk to people about the major psychological effort that people have to go through in selling a property. It is one of the top 3 stressors in life. The other 2 are death of a spouse and divorce, and then selling and buying a house, the 3 top stressors in life. And at this stage, you must really be able to demonstrate to you that you are a area specialist. You must know about your area, what's going on, what has recently happened then, and then also discuss your company values. Explain your company to them. They will be doing business with your company as well as yourself. So explain to them your company's history and your company's, introduce your company shortly to them, define your company's mission statement, how you would like to serve clients, your company's vision for the future, what your company wants to become in the area, the direction your company is moving in, and the goals that your company has in terms of serving clients. So not only yourself, but also the background with regards to your company. And this will also tell them that they are working with a property professional that belongs to a professional group of people. Right. Now, the whole issue of educating people. You must be careful not to talk down to people. You must be able to educate them without them really realizing it. So you must have information ready. During this whole discussion, it may take half an hour before you even talk about the property. So educate them with regards to the necessity of a mandate, what a mandate is, and the advantages of a sole mandate, and the responsibility that a sole mandate conveys upon a property professional. Talk to them about the listing of a property, and of course, including in the listing of a property would be a defect list that is required by law, a detailed defect list that you can prepare them for, but this can be completed at the end of the interview. Then talk to them about the costs of selling. So the cost of selling usually with regards to taxation, and starting with capital gains tax. It might be something that they don't know about, that they are required to pay capital gains tax on their property, but if it is their primary residence, the first 2 million rand profit will be discounted, and have the capital gains tax ready for them. Tell them about their responsibilities there. If that is applicable, have a discussion regarding that, talking about income tax, talking about municipal taxation, the fact that it should be cleared by the municipality before the property can be registered. Talk to them about their finances, the bond cancellation. Ask where their bond is, what is outstanding on their bond. Obtain documentation, administrative documentation regarding their bond, and explain to them that they need to ask that a bond must be cancelled before the property can be transferred into another person's name. Explain to them the conveyancing process and how long it should take if the process is done properly. If they accept your advice and you do it in a proper way, how long it should take, and explain to them the dangers of overpricing a property and the extenuating of this process and pain in the process if they are trying to put their property in the market that is grossly overrated, how what it creates in the image of the public if a property is overpriced and doesn't sell for 2 years or so. Then the members of the public say, oh no, this property has been in the market so long, there must be something wrong with it. So here, explain to them the benefits of having the market-related price just right. So only then, once you have made some notes, then you can take your clipboard and ask whether you can walk through the property and make notes and ask them to assist you in the process, walk through the property, gain an understanding again of who they are, what their personality types are, ask about the good times they've had in the property, how long have they been there, and make notes as far as you go, because these notes will help you to present your CMA at a later stage, possibly even the next day, in order to obtain a sole mandate. Yeah, you must strike the iron while it's still hot. So take as many notes as you can, especially the size, the extensions, the additions, the defects, whether there are building plans, etc., and ask them to have any additional information ready the next day when you are going to present your CMA. So, what is it really? What is a comparative market analysis really? So, it's usually easy for people to say you must compare apples with apples, but there are so many different variety of apples available. There are red ones and green ones and yellow ones and big ones and small ones and sweet ones and sour ones. Everything is called apples, but they differ substantially if you go into the quality of that specific apple, right? So it is not that easy to say we are going to compare apples with apples. You must compare the right kind of apple with the right kind of apple. So gather information about the property. In order to compare, you will need to know everything that you can about your subject property, and that is now gathered by you during your interview. The more characteristics you know about your subject property, the more accurate your CMA is going to be. At the very minimum, start by getting information on each of the following points: the precise location, the street, the neighborhood, the municipality, the earth number, and then the style of the property, the curb appeal. How does it look from the street front? The look of the house. Start describing it in your own words. Is it a modern house? Is it a traditional family house? Is it an old house? Is it a revamped house? What is the look and the feel of the property? Then you need to obtain the square meter size of the house and the stand, and ask about any possible building plans. Then you need, of course, to number and describe the living areas, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the year the property was built, and whether there were any extensions done, recent renovations on the property, extensions, whether that is reflected in the building plans. And then write down interior finishes of note. Give yourself a good description of the kitchen and the finishes thereof, the bathroom, the tiling, and of course whatever is included in the bathrooms, and the view. Also the view from the kitchen, the view from the bathroom, the view from the main room. So it's not only inside of the property, but the outside of the property as well. And then make notes about any extraordinary features, such as what is added, a swimming pool, and then not only a swimming pool, description of the swimming pool, the size and the look and the feel of it, the garden, whether it is landscaped, what is included in the garden, the security of the property, anything extra like a borehole, and especially if it is along the coast, whether there is a sea view of a property, because that could mean a difference in 1 to 1.5 million rand in the value of a property if it is adjacent to the sea, or whether there is a sea view. And then, required by the Property Practitioners Act, a detailed defect list. where you record everything and ask the sellers to agree to read through it and sign it, that they have disclosed all defects and that you have described and recorded all defects. They must agree with the defect list and sign their agreement on the defect list. The same defect list will then accompany the rest of the process. It will accompany the offer to purchase. The buyers have to also take note and sign the defect list that it was disclosed to them as well. So this is a process that will take half an hour on its own. So your appointment with the sellers is your first appointment is going to take some time. Right, what to ask about the neighborhood? You need to evaluate the neighborhood in descriptive words like safe or young or up and coming or busy or centrally located. And to set the right listing prices, CMA should take into consideration the general quality of the neighborhood. What are the more attractive blocks in the neighborhood? How close are community amenities, the nearest highway access, the nearest school, the nearest shopping center? How close are community nuisances, if there are any? And if you are listing in a sectional title complex, what are the rules? Obtain a set of the rules and how is it managed? What is the feeling in that block? How are the schools? How close are you to the schools? Are there any issues with curb appeal, with the outside view? How are the municipal services there? And are there any community involvement schemes going on there? Are people interested in their neighbors? Is there a neighborhood watch? Whatever is going on in the community, you should also make a note of, because your possible buyers will ask you about that. Then asking questions regarding finances, the outstanding bond, if it's anywhere it is, what the size thereof is. Then municipal taxes, whether that is paid up. Then what are the average water and electricity costs? And then explain the property value appreciation, the fact that they have bought a property 10 years ago, the appreciation of value in those 10 years, and explain to them that any income that they derive from the sale of the property will be taxed in the form of capital gains tax. And if it is their primary residence, that they will get the first 2 million rand discounted thereof, and try and prepare them for whatever the capital gains tax may be. And then you need to explain to them the current marketing conditions, whether it is a buyer's market or a seller's market. So if there is a total a lot of properties on offer, then the price of this property should be slightly lower than the other properties if they want to sell fast, because there's a lot, if it is a buyer's market, right? There's a lot of properties on offer, and if they really want to sell fast, they must make their price as attractive as possible. Then a discussion of what needs to be done to fix the property so that it is habitable and presentable. Not necessarily repainting, except if it is really in a bad condition, but the fixing of fixtures, windows that are broken, leaking taps, etc. So not necessarily very expensive fixes, but those things that can make the property habitable. So then you go home. You've met the people and you go home and you do your homework with regards to finding recent comparable sales. Properties that have got the same qualities that were successfully sold recently. That is only the first of your list. Similar homes to your subject property that has been sold. A comparison is just what it is, and markets change So you need to keep your comparison recently, certainly not older than the last year, or if you can, the last 6 months. You have to draw up parameters to ensure that it is a good comparison. So it must be in the same area, more or less the same size, if you can, the same street, or more or less the same age, the same characteristics, the same kind of bedrooms or whatever, as near as possible as you can get. So obtain 3 to 5 recently sold properties that match, not 100%, remember about the apples and apples, not 100%, but more or less in the same, with the same characteristic as your subject property. Then, if your comparable properties, those that have successfully been sold, are in a range close to your subject property, but there is 1 or 2 things that differ, like, for example, the one may have an extra garage, or one may have an extra study, or one may have a bigger yard or a bigger size stand, or so on. One of the features or so may differ. Then you must estimate the value of the difference of that feature. And then you need to change the estimated price for your subject property to make them equivalent. So if your subject property has got an extra bedroom, you need to add a price to your sold property to become more realistic with regards to your subject property. So the people frequently ask me, what's the price of an extra bedroom? So that I can't determine. It is up to you to decide what is the prices in your area and what the value of an extra bedroom will be in your area. So from area to area, you should maybe ask the other agents in your business and in your agency that could maybe give you a little bit of advice. What would be the value of an extra bedroom? What would be the value of a bigger yard, or so on? And then maybe add another 10 or 20,000 or 50,000 even to your price. Now, that is now the successfully sold properties. Now we look at what is currently on sale in the market, which are currently being advertised. Now you need to find the same way 3 to 5 properties that are currently listed for sale but not sold yet. Again, in range with your subject property's most important characteristic. What is currently for sale? Even from other agencies. Look at their websites. What do they have for sale in the same area, maybe in the same street, but with a similar characteristic, how many bedrooms, etc. And you look at how long have they been in the market. So has the reception been good? Are they selling fast? And what are the prices that they're offering? Remember that prices are always negotiated. How long have they been in the market? And that could be an indication that they are overpriced. So if these comparable properties are in a range close to that of your subject property, you need to estimate again a value adjustment in order to make it equivalent to your property. So if the current property on sale has got 1 bedroom more than yours, you need to deduct some amount from that for sale price in order to match your property to make it equivalent. So here is another pro tip. You know, I don't know why estate agents see each other as competition. We are actually colleagues. Okay. So if there is a subject property on the market under mandate with another agency that is very similar to your subject property, now once you have obtained your own sole mandate, of course, why don't you reach out to that estate agent who has the listing of that for sale property? Tell them that you've got something similar that is coming into the market, that you've got the sole mandate on, and give them a rough idea when you expected it to go live, when you are going to start marketing the property once you have obtained the sole mandate. Chances are that they have had at least one or more people inquiring about their property, and but they couldn't help them. It was not exactly what they were looking for. So if they can come to an arrangement with you, they may want to bring their own clients through your property on a shared mandate, then with the arrangement that you will share commission, making a quick sale an excellent possibility, and sharing a property with one another instead of trying to break a mandate. So offer to share the property. If you bring the seller, they bring the buyer, and then you share the commission. Why not? It's about the client's best interest. So the next step is to adjust for the differences between your subject home and each comparable property. So an experienced estate agent will be able to assign a rand value to each of the differences and adjust the value of each comparison accordingly. So, for example, add or deduct a price with regards to a room, a study, a pool, a sea view, etc. It may seem counterintuitive, but if the comparison has got a feature that is inferior to your subject property, then you can raise the expected price and make a positive adjustment to the subject property, and of course vice versa. So as an example, if a comparison has got an extra bedroom which is seen as a superior feature, it's reasonable to assume that the buyer paid more to get the extra bedroom. In this case, you would deduct the amount from the comparison to account for the extra bedroom, thereby allowing for the right kind of apple comparing to the right kind of apple. And then the last price that you need to find out. So you need to find out how the envisaged price based on previously sold properties, current properties on sale. There could be a difference there in the two averages of successfully sold and currently on sale. Then a third price would include the market conditions. Right. The final price might need to be tweaked slightly depending on the market. For example, if the market is hot, or if inventory is low, if there's a big need for properties in the area, the price may be slightly higher or slightly lower. Conversely, if there are a lot of similar properties on the market, the price might have to come down a little bit to be competitive, especially if it is an urgent sale. So what to include in a CMA? So there is no standardized CMA basic format that you can use, but a typical CMA will include the address of your subject property and then anything between 6 to 9 comparables. So 3 successfully sold, 3 currently in the market brings you up to 6. A description of each of those variables, of those other properties, including their view, the number of bedrooms, the bathroom, the outbuildings, and the additions. I'll show you an example just now. And then a description of the square size of each property and the sales price of each comparison, whether it has been the amount that they have been sold for or the amount that they are currently in the market for. So then a price adjustment for any differences, in other words, minus 50,000 Rand for an extra bedroom, plus 25,000 Rand for a study, or plus 1.5 million for a sea view, or something like that. And then the fair market value for your subject property need not be an exact amount. You need to provide a reasonable range. So you need to provide a price between one amount and another to give them a reasonable range. It is expected that your property will sell for between that, and it is strongly recommended that you place your property in the market for X amount. And since this is what facts dedicate. So To sell a property is a hugely emotional process, and you cannot address people's emotions. You can only address facts. You can only speak with facts. So if they are very emotional about the selling of the property and the fact that you are trying to give away their property for free, they don't want to accept the market conditions, the only way that they can convince them is with facts. You cannot address emotions. You can convince them with facts. This is why you need to have a list of the facts ready to present to them. So where do you get all this information? You get information from various sources, what has been sold, maybe from Lightstone reports, the deeds office, Windy, bank indexes, MLS, and your own resources in your own company. What has happened in your own company? If your company trade a lot in that area, you may ask, what successful sales have your own company done, maybe by other estate agents. Then other sources, with regards to what is currently for sale, you can, of course, look at properties being advertised in newspapers or on the websites nowadays. Private property, Property 24, even OLX or Gumtree, and own listings in your own company that may be listed by other agents. So there's quite a list that you can try and find out what is currently happening and what has happened in the past. Then you start calculating, you start putting it all together. So what are you left with? You are left with 3 figures. The first figure is the average of successful sold properties. Say you found 3 properties that are closed, and you deduct now a price for an extra bedroom or not a bathroom or whatever. So an average, you list the 3 properties, you get a price comparison and a successfully sold price there. Then another price, a prediction based on current offerings, but state to them the current offerings may need to be adjusted because this property has got a bigger stand or an extra swimming pool or whatever. Then your prediction based on the market conditions. So your third price, your prediction based on the market conditions would be the suggested price that you are going to fight for in your sole mandate. If you allow yourself to be influenced by the sellers at this stage, you are only creating future problems for yourself. You must take hold of this interview. You must convince them with your facts and your figures. If the property is overpriced, firstly, there will be less interest in it. Secondly, it will stay in the market longer. Thirdly, your first offer will be much lower than what you have suggested in the mandate, and they will think that you lied to them. So you need to take control of the market-related price and convince them with facts. Right. Don't allow them to say, oh, you say, okay, we can place the property in the market for 2.5. We are going to place it in the market for 2.7 to allow for negotiations. No, they will forget about that, allow for negotiations. They will think you lied to them. So take control of the price if you want this to become a successful sale. So you arrange your numbers from the lowest to the highest, and then you can come to a comparative market analysis with a predicted sales price range. So this is just an example of some fictitious properties that I have put together here. Let me just show you here. Subject property on top, the first line there. The house, size of the house and the size of the stand reflected there. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 living areas, a kitchen plus a pantry. So that is an additional advantage. Double garage. Outbuildings has got 1 toilet and the style is contemporary, and any notes that you might have placed there, for example, an urgent sale. So the top line is the subject property and the address you could place in there. Then the next three lines are successfully sold properties and their dates. Then you compare their sizes. You can see, for example, sold number 3, much bigger. The stand is much bigger, 1,200 squares, and your subject property is 850 squares. Sold number 2 has got 4 bedrooms. Right, bathrooms are all comparative. Living areas, sold number 1 has only got 1 living area. Kitchen is small in sold number 1. Kitchen is big and modern. And then sold number 1 has got 1 carport extra. Outbuildings reflected there. Sold number 3 has got a braai area and a pool. Okay. Then the styles there. Sold number 3 is an old house. Okay. So sold number 1 was sold for 1.24. Sold number 2 for 1.4 and 1.45 for sold number 3, because there are differences, hey? Bigger stand, a braai area and a pool as well. Then the next 3 lines, for sale 1, for sale 2, for sale 3, with the addresses. There you've got the stand sizes, the number of bedrooms, and as we go along. And there for sale prices you can see there. Then I have included here properties that have expired to show them this is what happened to your property. The listing will expire without it being sold if it is priced too high. So you see the last 3 prices were priced too high and the property has expired, and interest will wane on the property because people might have passed it by or seen it with another agent, made up their mind, it is too expensive, this is wrong with the property, etc. They would not like to visit that property again. Then you put it together with a presentation letter. So your statistics together with a presentation letter. So I know many franchise groups have got their own example of a presentation letter, a standard document that they use, but you could design yours in the following way. Dear Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, address them on their names and surname. Thank you for the opportunity to be of service in providing a market-related price on your property situated, blah, 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 blah. If you study the comparative analysis attached, the following conclusions can be reached based on the figures available. Average sold price the last 6 months, 1.35. Average current selling price, 1.45. Average expired price, 1.55. Taking into consideration that some properties do not sell due to overpricing or some other reason, it's important that we price your property as market related as possible in order not to extend the selling process unnecessarily. The market is currently buyer driven, so it means that there are a lot of properties available. So it is vital to offer an attractive and competitive selling price. I would strongly recommend the following price range for the marketing of your property, 1.35 to 1.3, or maybe the other way around. I will call you today, soon, to arrange a mandate discussion as explained to you in order to get the process started in the most effective way. Yours, yours sincerely, and then yourself. So, talking about CMAs and valuations, there's a big difference between what property professional and what agents provide as a CMA and a property valuation done by an appraiser. You provide an estimation of what the property may sell for, a market-related price based on your facts and research. An appraiser or a valuer gives a property valuation, and it's frequently based a desktop valuation, although nowadays they are sent out as soon as an offer to purchase have been signed on a property, the banks send their valuers to go and measure and physically look at the property, and they based the figures on the square meters of the stand, so they actually measure the stand. I've been present mostly recently with a family member's home that was sold in Waterfall, and I had to house sit for them, and during that time 3-4 valuers came through and they physically measured the stands with their wheels or with their lights and so on. And they all asked for the plans, the building plans of a property. So they want to determine whether the property qualifies for the bond applied for, and they are being paid by the banks. They charge for their services and you do not. You only get paid commission when the property is successfully sold. So you cannot charge for a CMA. The proper packaging with regards to a CMA. Should you succeed in convincing a client to become a seller and to list their property through you, ensure that you put a folder together that includes a CMA, the listing form, the defect list, the FICA form, the mandate agreement, the sole and exclusive mandate agreement, the marketing plan that you have, your company detail, your detail, and any appropriate information, for example, the conveyancing process, maybe information about possible conveyances, more than one name that you may recommend to them. What about registered electricians, movers, conveyancers, or contractors to fix problems? I know many people who work in estates, property practitioners that work in estates, they have got quite a list of contractors that they frequently use to revamp the properties and that they can trust to do their work on time and with reasonable prices. Now, just ask yourself, if everyone is, I must tell you this is an overseas advertisement, so I'm not stepping on anybody's toes here. If everyone is doing free market analysis, free comparative market analysis. Remember, members of the public don't know the term CMA. They are not living in the world that you are living. They don't know the acronym, so don't talk down to them. They don't know what the CMA is for or what a comparative market analysis is for. But they see this free offered by whatever agent. So if every estate agent is offering free CMAs, everybody is doing it for free, then it has got little value. You should add value to yours. Remember that CMA is industry jargon. Homeowners don't know what it stands for, and they don't want to appear ignorant. They are looking at you and listening to you, but not understanding half of what you're saying. So explain to them in ordinary, understandable layman's terms what it is. Advertise your services in the following way. Get updates on what the homes in your neighborhood sold for last year. How much could you sell for today? Your home may be worth more or less than you think. Allow me to estimate the market-related value for your property. So having a powerful message and service that you can explain to potential clients is vital, because your aim is to get potential sellers onto your marketing list, to get a sole mandate on this. That is vital. And looking like all the other agents out there is the last thing that you should do. You should do yours as professional as possible. Spend time here. This is what you get paid for. This is what you are working for. This is how you can then say, this is why I charge 7.5% commission, because I'm a property professional, and right from the beginning I have delivered services to you. So stop following the pack. Stop offering free CMAs. They don't know what it stands for. Start doing real estate marketing in innovative ways. Build relationships with clients. Start earning your commission right from your introduction to the client. Add value to their lives. The CMA is only one of the tools at your disposal. Okay, be professional right from the beginning and take hold of this whole business relationship. Impress them with your skills. Deliver to them a service. That is what they will be paying you for. Okay, this is where we're at. We're done now. I'm wishing you good luck in your endeavors. Please don't be a hit and run estate agent. Don't just do the things in the same way that everybody else is doing it. Concentrate your efforts, focus your efforts, and be professional right from the beginning. Spend time with the people, get to know the people, and be an asset to our profession. Right, now I would like to allow you some question time. If you would like to unmute yourself, you are welcome to ask me some questions here. Anybody with some questions? Okay, if there are no questions, you're welcome to unmute yourself. If there are no questions, just remember that model will send you the notes for today, as well as an attendance certificate that you may have at your disposal. So thank you very much for attending, and I'm now leaving the session here. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Annemie.
Thank you, Annemie.
Thank you.